and that water down in the bigger tanks, everything was vibrating. The white parts of those little tanks at the top are where they repaired everything that broke. And the far right-hand tank is the one that imploded while I was standing there. 1/4-inch plate steel. If you've never heard anybody play one of those drums made out of 55-gallon drums, an 8,000-gallon 1/4-inch plate of steel going from convex to concave at one time sounds a whole lot like thunder. And I hit the ground. And that tank caved in. They had to get out there with house jacks and 4 men and jack that thing up just so it could shed water again. So it's a lumpy top on that one. They put them all back together, and I suggested they put a vent, and that's what those rusty pipes are standing up there in the air. And they didn't just put any vent, they put a big old vent and a big old rusty pipe up in the air. But now that's all painted, but I got it when it wasn't painted. And I don't remember who designed that, but
wasn't you.
They didn't get a rebate. Go ahead. You may have even passed this way out here. Sunset Canyon Pottery, they did a straw bale workshop. Now, this is pretty cool. Charge people to come build a building. And I like that idea. There was a guy in Austin that built his whole house on $50 a day Saturdays that you'd come build his house with him, straw bale. I heard them talking about straw bale before. It's a great way to get a straw bale house built. Go ahead. Right here at the Sunset Canyon Pottery, they did a 46,000-gallon ferro cement tank. This ferro is iron, so it's basically lath and plaster type process. They use a special plaster that is highly lime content, so it kind of melts the plaster if it gets a leak and refills the crack, so it rehydrates the plaster. This one happens to be acoustically perfect. Tish Hinojosa got down in there with her band and recorded some songs, and she never did get them published. I would like to play them at these events, but the problem is it's acoustically perfect, but you can still hear the 18-wheelers going down the highway right by this thing, so she didn't ever publish the music. She said it was a great place to record. Go ahead. But this is a typical underground system. It's just kind of a flat area. You can put them underground if you can dig. Digging's a problem. Go ahead. This is a 77,000-gallon ferro cement tank. This lady didn't want to see it. The hole cost $22,000. That's a pump up in the top right-hand corner, trying to keep water out of the tank. I asked Jess why he was finishing this thing, why he just didn't quit, because it was filling up with water every time. You had to pump it out. He said, I don't sell holes, I sell tanks. So he did finish it and cover it up, and it's an expensive hole. But the tank would have been a lot cheaper just building it on top of the ground. Go ahead. Here's one that's going underground, 37.5. Well, some people don't want to look at the top of that tank, so hit it again. We can disguise it, yeah. We can hide that tank, label it off. Got the pump house there, that's the 18th hole or 19th hole. Go ahead. Wooden tanks, place towards Dripping Springs outside of Austin that sells the wooden tanks. They're a funny story, they come out of New Zealand and they're made with California pine. New Zealand lost all their pine to insects, so they repopulated their forest with pine seedlings from California. So that's California pine that's treated and made into tanks and shipped over here on a boat and sold as big tanks. Problem is embodied energy. I'm in the green building program, Austin Energy Green Building Program. So we want to think about embodied energy. How much does it cost to get something somewhere? Well, this is embodied energy. You've got to calculate that. Wood's good. It's renewable, but there's also embodied energy. Okay. These folks attempted to make some of these tanks here in Austin, and it's hard to make a real small tank out of wood, or you're curving it. That's a 500-gallon tank that's now at my daughter's house. It was my house. And they used this as kind of a demo tank, and they said they'd never build another one. It fell apart 3 or 4 times. It's got a whole bunch of extra holes in it. but the liner inside it is what actually holds the water. So they asked if I wanted it for a discount, if I would never show it to anybody, and I said, sure, so here it is. It's a great tank, you just can't see the holes. Oh, right at the bottom shows that inlet going into the bottom, and it's a big valve on there that I can operate. And that's how I get the water back into the system if I want to recharge it and use the water out of the tank at the downspouts, okay? How much will rainwater harvesting cost? Now, if you come over to our booth for the Green Building Program and you ask us any question, the first answer, there's 20 of us on our staff now, we're all trained to answer is it depends. Ask us anything. The first thing we should tell you is it depends. And it really does. So, do you already have the gutters? If not, what type are you going to install? What type and size of tank are you going to pick? Will you use a pump? Is it going to be such a big tank that you need some pad construction? So all these things enter into it. It's somewhat economical to do it with let's say a 3,000 gallon poly tank. It doesn't require a lot of structure underneath it. If you got solid packed dirt, that would probably work okay. And in the city of Austin, our rebate, if you buy a 3,000 gallon tank, costs about $950, the city of Austin gives you $450 back. Makes rainwater harvesting pretty economical for use in your garden. That is not the way to get the water into the tank. By the way, that picture, you talk about an attractive nuisance. That's where the kids are going to be climbing real quickly. Go ahead. Roof type. Any roof will do for garden landscaping. Metal's ideal, smooth, not absorbent, but all the other things we can use that in garden use. People say, well, what about all this stuff that's running off the roof into the tank? Well, where's it going now? It's running off your roof now and going into your garden. The only thing we're doing is putting it in a tank that might get some of that stuff out of it, so we're actually making it a little bit better than what it's doing now. Gutters, all different types, from 30 cents a foot up to $15 a foot for copper. Screens, they're usually not necessary. It's a lot of trouble to clean them. If you've got a lot of trees, maybe you need some sort of screen system. Have yet to find one that's absolutely perfect, but there's a lot of people getting rich off of all these perfect ones. We'll see. Go ahead. Roof washer. I showed you how to do a poor man's roof washer. This is a rich man's roof washer. These are available for your commercial rainwater folks. It's a fiberglass tank sitting up on top of a ladder. It has two 30-micron filters. One of them's been removed there, so you can just see how it works. But it's a filtration system. Again, it's something that you actively have to go in and work on. You have to clean those things or replace them from time to time. Go ahead. It's always easier if you're on a drinking water system to get a little bit less water that's a lot cleaner. So that's why they use them on drinking water systems. They cost between $300 and $600. Going to have one or two filters. It's got to pass through that filter before getting into the tank. And if it's not clean, it can be a breeding ground for bacteria, keep the water from entering the tank. It's usually not necessary for non-potable systems. Go ahead. Barrels, they can be purchased or recycled. They should be painted to keep out sunlight and prevent algae growth. Those are the city barrels that I have a picture of right there. Go ahead. Polypropylene, polyethylene tanks, 35 cents to $1 per gallon. Most common, easy to install, should be black, green, or painted. And that's what we see most of the ones doing the city rebate in Austin using. Go ahead. Concrete or ferrocement, depending on the size, they can be very economical.